Hey, Big Mama here. And do you remember your first crush? I mean, the first real serious crush where you couldn't wait to see the person. Your palms would get sweaty. You'd be really nervous, tongue tied. Uh, you knew that person's habits, and you would deliberately put yourself in places where you knew that person was going to be. Okay, that's called stalking, and that is way wrong, people. We're going to explore an anime about feelings that most of us have had at one time or another. And it probably first happened around high school when we met somebody who was totally inappropriate. But in our hearts and our minds, we were saying, oh, this person is the one. And when I say inappropriate, I mean the person was probably someone who was older. It may have been a teacher. It could have been a supervisor. It would have been somebody who would have made the tops of our parents' heads come off if they knew anything about it. But, for us, it was a special feeling. Well, that's exactly what happened to Akari Tachibana. Akari was an up-and-coming track star in high school until she had an injury. And the injury required her to have surgery. And that kind of broke her spirit. So she decided that she wasn't going to go back to running. She made the decision that she wasn't going to really actively participate in rehabilitation. And so she was kind of floundering. She was lost. She was depressed. She didn't feel as though she fit in anywhere. So one day she's out walking. She gets caught in a rainstorm and she goes into this family restaurant and she sits down at the table and she's just looking outside at the rain. And suddenly someone puts a cup of coffee down in front of her. Well, the person who put the coffee in front of her was the restaurant manager, whose name is Masumi Kondo. And he's kind of sensed that she was feeling down, and so he gives her a free cup of coffee. And then to cheer her up, he performs a magic trick. She was fascinated by this, and he stuck out in her mind. Since she decided she wasn't going to go back to running, she gets a part-time job, and she gets a part-time job as a waitress at the same restaurant where Mr. Kondo works. The reason that she did that was because she was falling in love with him. I have to tell you, when I first read the premise of this, I was a little bit nervous about it because there's a whole bunch of things that could go way wrong with this subject. But this anime handled that situation in such a delicate way that it was heartwarming, and it was really, really sweet. Akari confesses to Kondo, and he thinks that she means in a friendly way because he actually thought she hated him because she was always staring at him. What he didn't know was the reason she was staring at him was because she was in love with him. She realizes that he thinks that it's in a friendly way, and so she confesses to him again. And that's when he realizes that she is probably serious. And he tries to tell her, he says, look, you're not in love with me. You just think you are, and we're incompatible. And he does everything to try and persuade her, but she doesn't back down. When he says that they're incompatible, he says, you should just go on a date with me, thinking that that's going to turn her off. But she's not like that. You got to remember, this person was a star athlete and was used to charging forward to her goal. She says to him, okay, let's go on a date. Well, in the meantime, there's a guy at the restaurant who I believe is the cook. He has a crush on Akari, and he realizes how she feels about Mr. Kondo and blackmails her into going on a date with him. Well, of course, she has a rotten time with this cook. His name is Kase. She has a rotten time with him. Then she goes on her date with Mr. Kondo, and of course, it's a perfect date. What's really funny is that the dates are identical dates, but with Kase, she was disgusted by him. She couldn't stand him. With Mr. Kondo, you know, he basically walks on water. Kondo realizes how she feels, and I was impressed at how he handled her feelings, because like I said, this could have gone way, way wrong, but it didn't. And the reason it didn't was because he recognized in her that she was substituting something. He knew that she had given up running the same way he knew that he had given up his dream. When he was in college, he wanted to be a writer, and he wanted to be a writer of pure literature. He gave that up when he got married and had a child, and I'm not sure which came in which order, but whatever it was, that life that he had wanted for himself was no longer there. And what happens is in him trying to encourage her to go back to running, she encourages him to go back to writing. You could see these two people who have something really big missing from their lives, struggling to find themselves. In some ways, it's really kind of sad, because, I mean, it could happen to any of us that just one change in our life just takes us in a completely different direction. But if we're really lucky, we have friends that still encourage us and still, you know, say, look, just because this one thing changed in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to change. And you shouldn't give up on your dreams just because at some point something came along to derail you. You can always get back on that track. For Akari, it's her best friend from track, Haruka, who misses her, misses running with her. And for Kondo, it's his best friend from college. He winds up going to the restaurant where he used to hang out, the cafe where he used to hang out when he was in college. And he runs across his best friend, that they were college buddies. They hung out together. They used to write together. And his friend had just sold a book, which was being made into a movie. And he admits to Kondo he hated the book. He only wrote it for the money. And he encourages Kondo to go back to writing the same way that Haruka is encouraging Akari to go back to running. Chihiro is encouraging Kondo to go back to writing. I'm not going to tell you what happens in the end, but it's a satisfying ending. I will tell you that. And like I said before, this could have gone way, way wrong, and it could have been an anime with inappropriate situations and tasteless gags. But the director, the voice actors, the writer handled this very delicate situation in such a beautiful way. And I love the title because of After the Rain. I remember being little or being younger, and when it would rain, especially in the springtime, after it was all over and done with and everything was very quiet, if you just took a deep breath, you could feel the clean. And that's kind of what this anime is about, is taking that deep breath after the downpour, after the showers, after all of the horrible things that sometimes happen in life. something comes along and just cleanses everything. And that's what this anime kind of reminds me of, is just that cleansing. So I hope that you will give After the Rain a try. Again, I liked it. Of course, I wouldn't be talking about it so profusely if I didn't like it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notify bell. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Big Mama out.